Howdy, Possum Patty here, and I am still working on my Wizard of Oz journal. It's going to be like a glue book collage art journal. And this was inspired by a little chat we were having during Janet Nash's live on Monday. And the subject of snow on poppies came up, and I related that to the Wizard of Oz. And Janet said she could just imagine Possum Patty making a Wizard of Oz journal. Well, challenge accepted. And I took an old window visor that Mr. Possum could no longer use, you know, that you put on the windshield of the truck to block the sun, and I cut it down to make a journal. Now, if you missed that video, I'll link it below so you can see how I got this part together. I did make a little door on the front with a heart inside, and I've done a little work on the front of the cover that I'm going to show you. I've been cutting some paper, and I had 3 of these rolls. Now this is what comes inside Christmas wrapping paper. Instead of using cardboard now, they use this craft paper, very heavy, probably made from recycled paper, I would imagine. It feels like it. And let's see, so the journal is, so I was cutting pages, but the journal is, where's my little ruler here? The journal is 6 inches wide by about 6.5 inches tall. So I decided the pages were going to be 5 wide and 5.5 tall. So I needed to make some strips that were 5.5 inches high and 10 inches wide so I could fold it in half and have pages that were 5 by 5.5. So I took this roll and I kind of measured it out, and I could get 5 strips of paper that were 5.5 inches tall and 10 inches wide. And so that's a lot of 5s, isn't it? 5 must be the number for today. So I have 5 strips to make pages that are 5.5 inches tall, and when I fold them, they'll be 5 inches wide. But as you notice, this paper has been curled up, so it wants to stay curled up. So I cut those strips and I folded them in half, and I have them sitting under a box, my box of Christmas stuff over there in the corner. So I have to go over and get those, and then I'll come back here. Yeah, I just threw that over there. And I'll come back here and I'll show you what I've done to the cover. And I'll show you the pages, and we're going to get them sewn in. And I wanted to start on the first prompt. So let's see if we can get that all done tonight. So come on along. Well, you might notice a few additions to the cover right off the bat here. And yes, I finally got some rivets going, but instead of using brads, I just used some good old Dollar Tree bling bling here. Just like black gems from the Dollar Tree. And I just glued on a few down here and a few over here. And I said, okay, that's it. Just like he's got rivets down his chest, now the front of the journal's got some rivets. This black banding was already here, but I took some of the elastic off the sun visor, and I did complete that black border. So now the black border goes all the way around. So I'm loving this. A couple little touches. You know me, I always add a little bit more than what's there. This opens with Velcro. And I said I was going to put a heart inside, so I had Mr. Possum clip the pokey part off the back of this heart. It was a little brooch. And this belonged to my mom, and she just passed last August. I decided, instead of just putting it right on the silver, just to put a little piece of scrapbook paper behind it. And these are actually the poppies from that Wizard of Oz pack that I was showing you yesterday. So I got this at the flea market. It was just a partial pack with the Wizard of Oz characters there. And I put just a little strip with the poppies, and I put the heart. And then I was thinking about the ruby slippers. And I just happened to have a little bit of red stickles left over from something, probably a couple years it's been sitting in the closet. And I put a little bit of red stickles on there to make that red shine like the ruby slippers. And I had put this paper inside the door to give it a more finished look. And I added this little cut apart from that paper pack that says, "There's no place like home." So those are my additions to the cover. So I'm loving that. I'm loving that. So I'm just going to sew this in, simple pamphlet. I'm sure you've seen this 100 times. I found this center here, which was like about 3 inches. And I found the center of the papers right there. And I think, now I don't usually do it this way. I usually punch holes separately, but because I'm only making one signature, this should work. Let's keep our fingers crossed that this is going to work. And I'm going to punch everything at one time and then sew it. So for a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, you start with 3 holes. And I'm going to make those holes with my awl, which is over here. I'm moving to the other table, getting my awl, and I'm getting some clips. Okay, so I got my awl and I got some clips. So these are folded in half. They're still curled a little bit because I didn't leave those in there very long. So if I clip these together, or maybe, yeah, I'll clip this together. Now, I've seen people do this. Yes, I watch a lot of videos to see how folks do things. And I have seen this done. Let me get some more clips. So I want to line up this center of the page with the center of the cover. So that would be right there. All right, so that's going to be there. I want to get it lined up. If you notice, these pages aren't perfect. They're a bit crooked when I was trying to cut that rolled up paper, but you know, it's a handmade journal and everything you do is, say it with me, possum perfect. All right, so hopefully that is good. If it comes out a little crooked, we're not going to worry about it. I try my best. Where's the front? There's the front. Okay. Yes, and I do have a Band-Aid on my finger. So, oh, I put this on the other side. Uh-oh. Okay, so now we have to mark this side. So I had it centered there. And then it comes up probably, let's see, 5 1/8. Let's do an inch. Should we do an inch and an inch? Yeah, it looks about right. Okay, that's where it's going to be. And there's my clock. It's the Morning Devil clock like it usually is. So I'm going to take my pokey tool and poke right through all those papers and the cover. Just 3 holes, 1 signature. If you've never sewn a journal before, this is absolutely the easiest sewing kind of journal to make. 1 signature pamphlet stitch. Now I'm going to start on the outside in the middle, poke my needle through. This is just embroidery thread. The best thing to use is like a waxed thread. They're really strong. I'm going to see if I can get some more of that. I had some, I used it all up. And this is an upholstery needle. It's blunt and it has a big eye. And then when I do this, I go to the bottom. And from the bottom, I go to the top. And I'm using all 6 strands of the embroidery floss, but not doubled up. Got to pull that through. Not doubled up. And then you're going to go back into the middle, but you want to make sure that you are coming out on the opposite side of your beginning thread. Now you leave a bit there because you're going to have to tie this off. So you always want a length left over here. And I'm going to pull that through. And then you want this to be pretty tight. I always flip it back over to make sure everything on this side is nice and smooth and there's no like bunches or knots or something like that over there. And now you've got one thread on each side. I'm going to take the needle off. Put it back in here for now. And this is my little bookbinding kit. I know it's pretty sad, but it's okay. I've got a couple of upholstery needles and a little needle threader there. All right, so one side of the string on each side, and then you tie it off. And I always do like 3. Like that. And then I usually trim it a little bit longer than the journal because sometimes I like to knot it up and put beads or different things on there. So I'm going to trim it like that for now and come back to that later. Okay, let me get all these giant clips off of here and see how that went. And perfect. I don't believe it. It is grand. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now you can see all the pages are, you know, a little wonky because I just cut them. I marked it with a ruler and cut them with my scissors. I didn't care about it being, you know, too perfect. They're all going to get all arted up. You know, if you want to erase your pencil lines, you could do that. If you want to try and even them out, you can mess with them a little bit. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it now. All right, let's close that for a minute. Yeah, it's still going to be unruly. Probably tonight I might put a book. Well, if I paint on one page, then I'm not going to put that under the book, but I'll put the rest of them under the book. I actually have something special I want to put on the first page, so I'm going to skip over here and work on this page. Oh, you know what? I can use these clips for now, can't I? That'll help. Yes, look at that. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, this is just the board I put here when I'm poking holes. All right, I've gathered up a bunch of things here, as you can see. Well, you can't see because they're spread across the table. But Janet Nash's prompts from Monday were recycle strips, poppies the flower, snowflake doodles, and scrape paint. Now, those are all very fun, and put together, they're going to be yummy. The first thing I did to get ready was take this 12 by 12 scrapbook paper. Like I said, I got some of this Wizard of Oz paper at the flea market. I didn't get the whole set, just partial. And this has a very subtle picture of Dorothy and Toto, and they're sleeping in the poppies, but this is way too big to put in this little journal. So I put this on my printer, and hit 50%. It came out with a perfect little Dorothy and Toto there to put in poppies. I got out my Marie's gouache, and I got this from Temu, and I wanted to try it out, but as you can see, I don't think I've used it, maybe a little bit of the white, and that is all. So this will be trying out my Marie's gouache from Temu. And I got out a bag. Now this baggie contains all like sparkly, shiny bits and strips of paper, because I was thinking of the Emerald City and that I should have some green sparkle on here. And wait, what's back here? Is there green? All right, I got lots of strips, but no green strips. So, you know, like Janet Nash always says, you do you. I have a green scrap, but no green strips. So we're gonna cut some green strips. And I'm just gonna use these strips around the edge of the page like a frame. And they're gonna represent the Emerald City. I probably don't need too many of these. They don't need to be perfect. They don't need to be even. I'll probably cut them even smaller and stagger them around the edge. So somebody put in the comments that it is the 85th anniversary of the original Wizard of Oz movie, and it will be playing in theaters the last weekend in January at a Fathom event. Fathom event. So if your theater holds those events, check out the calendar. If you would like to go see the Wizard of Oz, the original one, on the big screen. Well, I got so excited when I found this out, and this was just earlier this evening around supper time. And I ran and I told Mr. Possum, I says, oh, we're going to all go see the Wizard of Oz. It's going to be great. And I looked up the events and the theaters near me, and they're only having it one day, not the whole weekend. I guess it's available Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So our local theater, which is not really local, but the one we go to, is having it Sunday afternoon at 1, and I went on right away, and all the seats are booked except for the first row. Well, you can't even see the screen from the first row because, like, you know, you have to break your neck and look straight up. So I said, well, that's not going to work. So I might not get to go see that unless I check out some other theaters in the area. Now there's another theater, but they're not showing the Wizard of Oz. They're showing Labyrinth and not the Wizard of Oz. All right, I'm looking for something to scrape with. Okay, I got a card. Now you can scrape with a card, whatever you have. People use different tools. I like to just use an old gift card or something. Not redeemable for cash, this says. Okay, so what I'm going to do, this is my plan. I'm going to scrape some paint. Then I'm going to glue Dorothy down. And then I'm going to paint a couple poppies around her. And then I'm going to doodle snow and then put a green border. What do you think? That'll work, right? Okay, let me put paper under there. And I'm thinking to show the snow doodles, do I want a black sky or a Prussian blue sky? I almost want to put black, and I don't know why. I should be using the dark blue, but I want to put black. And these are brand new. You know what? This isn't going to work for scraping, is it? No. That's not going to work. Jelly plate. Jelly plate will work just fine. So I'm going to put a little black paint there. Now gouache is like watercolor, is a water-based paint that is more opaque than most of your watercolors. You should use it nice and creamy. Now scraping paint is just that. All you do is get something to scrape it with and scrape it down. Now I don't want to make it solid black because then it's not going to look like scraped paint. So I want to leave some of the background showing. But you can do it however you want. Okay, should roll up my sleeve. Now we had a snowstorm over the weekend. Different amounts throughout the state. We got, about 6 inches. And tonight we're getting a major rainstorm. And overnight the temperatures are going to rise to 50 or 60 degrees. This is fun. If you've never tried this, you have to do this. Like no pressure. You could just make backgrounds for your journal, scraping some paint on there, and that's it. And it dries really quick because you're scraping it on there pretty thin. Alright, so I want it to look like it was scraped, so I'm going to leave those brown spots there. I took all the paint off the jelly plate. Oh yeah, I do have, wait, where is it? This is my clean off book. So I could take the pages out of here. If I ever get a prompt where, you know, you need to use like a wipe off page, all I have to do is pull a page out of here. And I'm just going to press that on the jelly plate. And pull that black off, see? Just clean that off a little bit. Okay, so I glued down Dorothy. Now, Dorothy is not one of the prompts. Scrape paint was a prompt, but not Dorothy. But, you know, it's your page, and you can add anything you want to it. That is not a problem. There's no rules, no regulations. No rules, no regulations. The prompts are suggestions just to get you started in having a play. So I've got my red and my orange. I've got a tub of water here. Looks like it's dirty, but not too bad. We'll use it. And I'm going to grab a brush. I'm going to use this brush. I got to reach everywhere. Excuse my reach. The boarding house reach. Okay, you put the water on the side where your paint is. Okay, now I'm going to make very, very simple poppies, hopefully. And they're also going to be like a little bit of a doodle because I'm going to paint the flower part and then doodle in the center and the stem, and I just want to do one shape for the top of the flower like that, and one shape maybe underneath, and then I'm going to get a pen, not this pen, but I'll get my good black pen and doodle a stem and then put a black dot in the middle. Or, well, maybe I'll make the top orange. Yeah, let's make the top orange. Maybe I should use two brushes, and then I won't have to keep washing one. And just make a little bit the bottom part of the flower. These are going to be very sketch-like, not realistic at all. Something like that. Something like that. Okay. So I do like the orange better. Let's see how they're going to look on here. And I'm just going to make just a free sort of oval. And let's see if I can make one overlapping. So I got a lot of comments on the fairies doing their wash day on yesterday's video. Monday is my wash day, and the fairies do take turns being in charge of the laundry, the fairy laundry. They do their own laundry, but they take turns, and yesterday it was Angela Rose's turn. And even though there was snow on the ground, I mean, the fairies, they just don't seem to feel the cold at all. I mean, they love to be warm and snug inside, but they can go outside and, you know, not bothered by it at all. She took her little wash tub and she went outside and got some soapy water and washed her clothes and wrung them out with the little wringer and hung them on her little line to dry. They dry pretty quickly. Well, I guess the fairy material is all pretty magical, isn't it? Very light. There was a little bit of a breeze. I think that helped dry them in the sun. So these orange blobs will become flowers. They will become flowers. Ooh, I'm thinking of adding a little white to the orange. You know, as soon as I say something's going to be simple, then I start thinking about complications, right? Okay, we're not going to make too many. Let's see. I don't want to put one on Toto's head there. I do want one kind of down here. Now I'm thinking, oh, let me do the red. I have this in my hand. You can be very abstract with this. No problem. Okay. I'm going to grab a little white. The white gouache. The white gouache really does help make things opaque too. I'm just wondering if that's too white. All right, let's see. That was too much white. Didn't look orangey enough. But you can see I'm just dabbing it on here. I'm not worried about how it looks. Is that a flower? Yeah, that's a flower. It'll look like a flower when I'm done. I'm going to have to let this dry before I doodle, though. I gave the poppies a few minutes to dry. And they just look like blobs, and that's perfectly fine. No problem with that. All right, I gave them a couple of minutes to dry. And now I'm going to take my black Sakura, S-A-K-U-R-A, glaze pen. It's a gel pen, but it's very shiny, very dimensional. And do a little wiggle doodle like that and put it down in the middle. Nothing fancy, just a scribble and a stem like that. And those are going to be my poppies. Maybe I can zoom you in a little closer so you can see. So just a wiggle line like that. And a black dot in the middle. And a little bit of a stem underneath. Okay, some areas are not as dry as I thought. That's okay. Wiggle, dot, bottom of the flower. Wiggle, dot, bottom of the flower. Just make a wiggly oval. So I have some of the flowers overlapping onto the picture there. You get paint on the pen, just wipe it off on a scrap paper there. The flowers go off in different directions. So I'll do the tops of the flowers and then I'll add some stems. Did I get them all? I think I did. Okay, I'm going to start the stems with the ones in the front. And I'm just making wiggly stems coming down like that. And get the little higher up ones. Put the stems behind the flowers that are in the front. Like that. And that is it. That is my field of poppies. Now, I am going to use my, let me find it, Signo Uniball white pen to doodle some snow doodles. This is in my way, but I need to have it here. Okay. Snow can be anything, right? It could be little dots. It could look like little stars. Get my pen going. It can look like little snowflakes coming down. I'm just going to make like tiny little doodle snowflakes like that. So I've got my scrape paint. I've got my poppies. Put my snow doodles. And then I'll put a couple of strips on. Well, I made them from scraps. So we're going to count those. Now these prompts are not meant to be Wizard of Oz prompts. You can do anything that you want. This was just my idea because of the poppies and the snow and how they just both popped up in the same prompt game. And I'm going to put a couple little snowflakes coming down here because I think it was when the snow fell on Dorothy that she woke up. The good witch of the north sent the snow after the wicked witch of the west sent the poppies to put them to sleep so that they wouldn't reach Emerald City. And I think Emerald City is just off in the oh, you know what? That gives me another idea. I think Emerald City is just off in the distance when they start running through the field of poppies. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that's why they start running, because they can see it. But the poppies put them to sleep. So instead of putting the strips around like a border, I could just put some green strips over here to represent like the city. I cut way too many green strips, but that's okay. I can just put some green strips over there like that. What do you think? What do you... I know, I'm so literal whenever I do anything, you know. I don't know why. This whole journal is not going to be Wizard of Oz on every page, but it might have a few Wizard of Oz pages. That would be too much of a challenge to try to make all the prompts fit into the Wizard of Oz. Although that might be a fun challenge. Ooh, maybe I should make like little pointy tower tops. I know, I just continue to get carried away with everything, don't I? Oh my goodness, look at that. All right, let me get these glued down real quick. That is it. I have scraped paint, I have snowflake doodles, I have poppies, and I have recycled strips. Now, recycled strips, I think she used wrapping paper or something, some sort of paper she was upcycling, recycling, but I just had to use sparkly green. But I did use a scrap from the scrap bag, and I will put all these scraps back into the scrap bag in case we need some more sparkly paper for another project. This counts as scraps. So that is it. I'm loving it. Just that easy. Just that fun. You can see my field of poppies. I did add a picture. You can add things. You cannot do one of the prompts. You can do 2 of the prompts or 3 of the prompts. Or if she has 5 or 6 prompts, it doesn't matter. It's all good. It's all fun. I might have to add a little bit more snow to some of my snowflakes here. Put some little ones in there. You can also just put dots to make snow, can't you? Like that. They don't all have to be star-like. Put some white over here. Put the date on the side. Okay, I can play and play and play, but I will stop. Mr. Possum said it's getting late. Time to put the toys away. Well, I don't want to close this yet, but there she is. My Wizard of Oz, Tin Man, Wizard of Oz, with the sparkly heart. First prompt page. I think what I'm going to do is I can make a little pocket to put a list of the prompts in, because these pages are very small and I might not have room to write the prompts on each page. So I think that's what I'll do. So I just want to thank you all for coming along for part 2 and seeing the journal get finished and the first prompt page done. I might do some other journaling in here too. We shall see. We shall see. And I want to wish everybody happy junk journaling. Well, happy true junk journaling. This is a true junk journal. Talk about recycled products, right? Okay. Bye-bye now.